everyone, Joshua Hanlon here at BrickCon Seattle 2018, and I'm joined by a couple of the collaborators that worked on this giant space layout. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves, then we'll work our way through and take a closer look at this.
Sure. I'm Brendan Morrow, Breadman017 on Flickr.
And I'm Zach Clapsaddle, Zachmo on Flickr.
So this is the War of the Technomages. It's a collaboration between us and maybe 8 or 9 other builders. We go by the moniker WACKLUG, because we're whack. And yeah, this is something that's kind of been in the works for 2 years now. Okay. We had the idea 2 years ago after we finished another large dio that we had at BrickCon. That was a big homage to classic space. I think you guys might have a video of it somewhere.
Yeah, you guys covered that.
Yeah.
Make sure to put a link in the description for people who haven't seen that one in the past.
Yeah. Great. So we did that. We realized that was putting on a big display is a lot of effort, and we needed a year off. But we had the idea for the next big one, and it was this. It is, in effect, a giant homage to the classic heavy metal aesthetic of the late 70s. So
not something you see with Lego every day.
Yeah, we wanted to do something different that hadn't really been seen before. So, you know, a lot of influence from album art from that era, comic artists, because Heavy Metal Magazine started around that time. The French comic artists who started that, the Heavy Metal Magazine, especially Philippe Drouillet and Jean Girard, also known as Mobius, who's pretty famous for his work on, you know, Alien, the movie, all sorts of other stuff, The Fifth Element.
Yeah, and so we started here, and this whole dio is the War of the Technomages. So in the center of the dio is basically where the factions and the lands, they come together, they send their champions to do this battle. So each of the lands has a portal that's connected to the center. And they all basically do this huge battle in the center of the portal every 1,000 years. So we've got, you know, underwater with a large city. We got a cursed forest. We have a giant Cyclops dio with some sunken terrain. And then we've got Techno Mordor, which is basically like black and trans red and a pool of blood lava, essentially.
There you go. So some fantastic. So then let's start here and kind of dive into this section first, and we'll make our way through.
Sure. So this is a section that I built, basically underwater, lots of corals, lots of color. On the top, a lot of buildings that are inspired by Jack Kirby, comic book artist. A lot of color and a lot of textures and a lot of lines is what he's famous for. There's a monorail that goes around the top, and then the underwater city. Basically, it's micro scale on top and minifig scale down beneath. Kind of gives it like a forced perspective, like of it, you know, coming up out. So, yeah.
And under the water is equally impressive down here. So many cool parts and everything. Talk about what you did to achieve that kind of underwater coral look.
Sure, absolutely. I brick-linked a bunch of parts that I basically sorted by color. I looked at plants, I looked at body animal parts, I looked at whatever. There's some Jar Jar head fish down here. Again, it's a part like, you know, Jar Jar is Jar Jar, but when you turn him into a fish, he looks really cool. Lots of different corals. There's some branch pink corals. And then there's also, again, my army is a bunch of mecha, and they're all, it's the seafood mecha army. So inside there's a school of fish, there's a shark, there's a starfish, got some clams and lobsters over on the battle portion. Okay. But yeah, you know, just combining parts together for the corals was a lot of fun, and just, you know, as crazy and alien, but still recognizable as coral. And I think, you know, you can tell what it is by looking. Yeah.
A fun thing about the theme that we chose is it's kind of an anything goes theme. Because back then, you know, it was like, you know, drugs, sex, rock and roll, you know, whatever. You know, put whatever on, you know, if it's a cool spaceship that's fighting a wizard, put it on the album and we're good, you know? So
there's a lot of leeway with this theme.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And it's like a lot of times we were looking at it, we were sending each other pictures or do our, you know, we do video chats once a week and to collaborate. And we're like, you know, send each other pictures and we're like, hey, how's this work? And we're like, yeah, that works. Or, hey, that doesn't quite work, but it still works, you know? So there's a lot of feedback that we got from each other, you know, going on. And again, the whole thing just came out beautifully.
So this is a great start to the layout if we make our way down here and check out the kind of the next section right here.
Yeah. So this section was built by Jeff Cross. I believe he's Octopunk on Flickr. this was more kind of his prime inspiration was Philippe Drouillet, who likes to put a lot of faces carved into rock in his comics, and so you can see the whole bottom section is just endless faces.
Right. You don't even notice that at first until you start looking closer.
Right, yeah. So for several weeks, Jeff was just building faces and then sending us pictures of faces, and each one was more awesome than the next. His theme, I believe, there's two different factions who exist in his world. There's the upper wizard factions who live in the towers, and they used to have control of the full planet, but the lower levels of the planet have been taken over by this cursed forest.
Okay.
And these crazy, tentacle creatures that you can see are, citizens of the cursed forest who are, jealous that they don't get to live in the upper reaches of the city and are always trying to invade and take over. And they're using the war of the Technomages as an opportunity to, while they're distracted with the war on the hub world, they're, trying to take over the planet.
And we've got some great lighting in here. Do you know how that is achieved inside there?
Yeah, so there's a LED disco ball, and so if you look at it, I mean, there's disco ball. It actually was going off the ceiling. In the back, there's kind of like a little nightclub hidden world, because the theme of BrickCon 2018 is hidden worlds.
Oh, right.
So again, I mean, the back of the dio, there's like a little dance party going on because the disco light goes through. But yeah, it's LED lighting throughout. There's some in the actual large monster head. The eyes in the front light up. I mean, yeah, it's a beautiful creation, and with the burp trans blue panels, it really plays with the light because the angles on those really work out.
And is that a Galador head on the character up there?
It's a Happy Meal Galador head, so that's why it's like about half size of the normal large Galador head. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Any inclusion of Galador is always a great build.
Yeah, said no one ever.
All right, Hub World, dude. Take it away.
All right, should we move on?
Sure.
Yeah, so, all right. So this is the hub world. This is the section that I built. Was largely inspired by Mobius and also subconsciously by the intro from The Dark Crystal, one of my favorite Jim Henson films from about that era. If you'll recall, the intro sequence, if you've seen the movie, is this castle that is kind of thrust out of these rocky canyons that are infested with lightning and technology. Okay. And that was kind of the initial inspiration was I wanted to have some kind of centerpiece and then the cracks in the floor. The backstory is kind of like the reason this planet is so valuable is it's an immortality engine. This generator that sucks life out of the planet, and so you can see that it's kind of seeding its technology into the planet's core. And then we have the 4 gateways that connect to the other worlds. There's more than 4 factions on the table. We're saying that there's more gateways that you just can't see because this is only one small slice of it. And yeah.
So this would be then how all these worlds around here kind of transport their troops here.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Each world kind of like takes over a gate, and the technology for the gates has existed for thousands of years before any of the civilizations existed. They just came in later and discovered them and took over them. So you can see like bits of their world are kind of integrated into the gates, but they're clearly a much older, carved from stone, crazy technology.
Yeah. And certainly what catches your eye with this build is kind of the center core part. So talk about all of the parts down there that are kind of connected, and then also the moving parts and how you were able to achieve that.
Yeah, absolutely. My original vision for it was an orrery, which is a mechanical model of the solar system. It didn't quite end up like that, but I really wanted to have a lot of different moving parts that were moving at different speeds. The launch of the giant Technic gear wheel with the gear teeth on the inside a couple years ago was like critical for that. That's what controls the base ring that's moving around, and then there's pretty much every different size of gear is in there to get different rotation speeds. The tentacle tubes and everything, that's kind of a reference to Ashar Giger, who was another prominent artist at the time who did a lot of the concept work for the first Alien movie, and kind of established the look of the Alien and the Alien ship interiors at the time. The motors are power functions motors, and then the lighting is brick stuff. And it's all controlled by a PFX brick, which was kickstarted by JK Brickworks and a friend of his a couple years ago. Yeah, so I was one of the Kickstarter backers, and I got the brick because I really wanted it for all the different functions it could do. One of which is a sound reactive function, and that's how we're getting the lightning effect. Is it's actually just, you can kind of hear it, but there's a speaker in the back that's running a sound loop of lightning, and the LEDs are just reacting to that sound loop and creating the effect.
Now, are those available now, or was it only available through the Kickstarter project if somebody wanted to pick that up and use that themselves?
I believe you can go to their website and order one now. Okay. I think they are available. Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. Yeah. Well, turned out fantastic. Great effects. And then, what are some of the other bigger characters that we have featured in this layout?
Right. So as I said, we have a dozen or so builders who all contributed to this. We usually have a core group who does the basic landscape and stuff, and then we reach out to friends of ours to do creatures and such to populate it. So yeah, each of these bots or some of the groups of figs and stuff were just friends of ours like Bram Lombrecht, Aaron Damon, Chris White from LA. Yeah, lots of different people who all, and then some of them are creatures that we built, because they're specific to our realms, like the Cyclopses are from the Cyclops realm, clearly, and yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty good. If you want to go to the next line? Yeah, let's go to the next line. Yeah, let's move on. So the next land was built by Derek Shin and Tom Rayford. And we actually took Tom's train layout, or Tom took his train layout, completely reskinned the entire thing to be this land of the giant Cyclopses. Put tons of alien life on it, changed all the water to trans green and yellow mixing. They have this awesome rotating tower that has really cool ball bearing features with the pink lightsaber bars. And then we also had Will Hafner, who's actually collaborated with us a few times in the past, built this another Galador Technomage, as well as this large bug that the Technomage is fighting. The bug just fit awesome into the landscape. Kind of has a camouflage effect. Like if you don't look hard enough, you actually will miss that. And then again, the awesome thing that Derek came up with is his Technomage, one of his Cyclopses. You can see on their ring on their planet, he's actually putting his arm through the ring, and so you see the trans green. And then if you look over here on the hub world, you can actually see the rest of the hand coming through the gate and starting to attack some of the troops on the ground.
Yeah.
So it's a really and also one other thing with their Dio, it's actually dropped down. So it was it's a pretty awesome thing. We had some custom tables that Tom had. So it's lowered down about 15 inches or so into the table. And it really helps with the illusion of multiple different worlds at different scales and different dimensions. And I think the drop section really played off very well.
Yeah, it really makes it stand out. You don't see a lot of builds that drop below the table level like that at a show. So when you see something like that, it definitely gives you that nice depth effect when you've got all these different heights of builds here.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, fantastic work there then. So has the moving part there been running pretty smoothly the whole show?
Yeah, it's been running great. You see the yeses. No, if you turn it up too fast, the lightsaber bars actually start shooting out. So it's just got a train controller, and it's been pretty great.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty smooth.
No problems.
Yeah. No problems.
Never.
We'll keep going on from there then. There you go. So then we have down here kind of the last big section.
Yeah, so this section is built by Andrew Lee. Is he Ono Sendai?
Yes,
on Flickr?
Ono Sendai,
Yeah.
26.
He's a fellow YouTuber, runs a show called Bricks and Beer. Maybe you guys have heard of it. Yeah, so this is Andrew Lee's section. We call it Techno Mordor. It's, a realm of fire and blood. I feel like it kind of speaks for itself. There's not, too much that we could add to the visual awesomeness of it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, there's some Eye of Sauron inspirations with some of the buildings. There's, again, it's black and red and dark gray and just spires everywhere. Also a little bit Geiger inspired, I feel. But yeah, and then, some of the use of the Bionicle heads with the trans red in the eyes. that was like a bionicle container, and it again works as a massive door into a building, right? And I mean, there's all sorts of there's all sorts of things like that with all the tentacles and stuff everywhere. There's one-eyed flying monsters, but basically black and trans red is the theme here. I mean, really heavy metal in terms of what you think about when you think of the aesthetic at the time.
Yeah, it's probably the most metal of everything here. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I really like also kind of the trans clear red with the trans red kind of running through that nice, almost like lava effect.
Yeah, so again, there's underneath the trans red tiles is different shades of base plate. So you have dark red plate and then red plate, and then again when you skin it with the lava, it kind of gives it a beautiful transition. So in the center of the river, it appears to be a lot deeper than on the sides because of the way that you can use multiple color plates to do that.
So this is such a giant, fantastic layout here. It's amazing what you guys did. So you mentioned, I think at the beginning, that you did some video chats as you collaborated. Talk a little bit more about that process and kind of how that went down over the months as you prepared for the show.
Sure, yeah, we've been doing it as a group now for multiple years. And basically, we meet on a given night of the week, Thursday nights normally, and we kind of just all, hey, guys up for a chat? And we're like, yep. And it's pretty much every standing Thursday. And, we just hang out, talk for a few hours. We show each other what we've been working on. We just talk about, hey, have you guys seen this new Lego set that's out, and I just have a conversation as friends, And then on the back end of that, a lot of times it's Moro, but he'll, do some drawings based on what the layout's going to look like or how it's going to evolve and what we're talking about, placement and stuff. And then with this layout, because every land is like kind of floating on its own, we didn't have to worry about connecting parts together. So again, it all looks connected, but there's no actual physical connections to each other's dio. And that is nice because then you don't have to worry about the precision measurements. And we learned that from the last one. It's hard.
Yeah, we've been doing this a while, and we've learned a few tricks. So
there you go. So then once everybody brought their stuff to the show, what was set up like for that? How did that go for you guys?
Some of it was really easy, and some of it was not so much. Some of us, I believe Jeff in particular, got a surprise job that he had to work for the last week up until con, which he was planning to take off and build. So a lot of his building happening on site. We didn't actually get to see. Even he had not seen his entire section put together yet because he built half of it, and then he was going to fly up, so he gave it to us to drive up for him. And then so he did that a couple weeks ago, and then used the next 2 weeks to build the top half. So he'd actually not seen the two halves put together yet, and had just, it was a lucky, he did some lucky measurements to make sure that they all fit up, but none of us had seen it together until yesterday when it was all finally put together.
Yeah, another thing on the setup, originally we had the drop table on the other side on accident, just due to miscommunication. So again, as we're doing setup, we had to reconfigure the entire tables. We had to shim the tables to get them just right, to line up everything right. And then again, Moro couldn't even put the front hub section together for a while because all the other tables were out of the way so we could get the back section set up. So again, I mean, the timing was a little crazy, but it came together. It came together, yeah.
Like you guys got it all finished up then for the public to come in here, so I really appreciate all the work you put in, setting up and building and everything. I think it's a fantastic display. Is there more collaborations planned for the future?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Again, we do every 2 years, we do a huge collab, so next year we probably will just do like a fly-in, something smaller. Yeah. Maybe we'll go bigger. We kind of up in the air at this point.
We always have ideas. We have a laundry list of ideas for future displays, and we all love working together. And I don't see us not doing that for anytime soon. So yeah,
absolutely, yep, absolutely.
Awesome. You got to bring these massive collabs to other shows across the country as well. They'd go well there.
Talk to my boss.
Yeah, talk to mine too, and my wife. Yeah.
Yeah, but until then, it's fantastic. So thank you once again for bringing it to the show, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to take me through all the builds here. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you guys very much.
Yeah.